1. Morgana Roy walked briskly to work at precisely 8:36 in the morning. As a creature of habit, she always walked a mile from the public parking garage to her office in the rear of a half-derelict building on the fly-blown main drag of Bowie, Maryland. Bowie was just southwest of Fort Meade, where the black-glass NSA Colossus rose seemingly out of nowhere. As usual, she had arisen at 6 in the morning, driven to the dojo, where she had been a member for 7 years, and worked out vigorously with masters of 2 different martial arts disciplines for more or less 45 minutes each, before showering and changing into her work clothes. Her apartment, 20 miles southwest of the office, would seem to an outsider like a perfectly sterile environment. Apart from appliances, there were 2 or multiples thereof of everything: sofas, chairs, lamps, coffee and side tables, laptop computers at 2 different workstations. On the dining room table stood 2 vases, each equidistant from the center, 6 chairs. Everything was symmetrical. She lived a compartmentalized life. Order was important to her. Chaos made her uneasy. Though the truth was, she found the concept intriguing. She made this walk in all seasons, all kinds of weather, without fail, and at a speed that would make most others huff and puff and clutch the stitch in their side. There was about this walk something of a challenge, so grueling in summer heat and winter sleet, that those who occasionally had to walk with her privately called it the Baton Death March. It was a joke, of course, but a decidedly grim one. Morgana Roy worked in a small suite of offices hard by a gymnasium, and those new to her unit were assaulted by the smells of stale sweat, underarm odor, and worse, which insinuated themselves through the baseboards of the wall that separated the offices from the gym. Twice a week, these would be temporarily overpowered by the acrid stench of Lysol and bleach. Morgana seemed unaware of these odious smells, or perhaps she had become accustomed to them. Using a magnetic keycard, she passed through the door marked with a small, discreet sign, Meme LLC, printed on a sheet of plain white paper. It looked as unsettled as Morgana's state of mind, and in bad weather it had to be replaced almost daily. Still, there was no plan for anything permanent to take its place. Across the street was the smallest post office Morgana had ever seen, a tiny brick building with a sadly draped banner, "Rent a P.O. Box Today," hanging off the iron railing of the cement handicap ramp. At Morgana's entrance, a heavy-set young woman of 23, in a distinctly non-government issue gabardine suit, got up from behind a desk, said good morning, and went to fetch them both cappuccinos. "Good morning, Rose," Morgana said, when Rose returned. Beside Rose's desk, a rubber plant's leaves shone as if polished daily. To the right was a cabinet, closed and locked, that in fact contained nothing at all. To the left stood a row of 3 chairs that had never been sat on, a low table on which were scattered copies of Vanity Fair and Wired, never read, but nevertheless kept current. There were never any visitors to Meme LLC. Ever. At 30, Morgana was the oldest member of the crew. She had 7 people working for her in the office, 7 more out in the field. All of them were young and ruthless. They had, to a person, lean and hungry looks, which was just the way she wanted them. There were 2 doors in the wall behind Rose. The one on the right led to a break room, complete with a refrigerator-freezer, a 2-burner stove, a sink, food cabinets, a coffee bean grinder, and the cappuccino espresso maker. Farther along lurked a warren of storerooms that eventually led to a basement. The left-hand door was locked with a retina recognition system. Morgana, cappuccino in hand, looked into the display, opening the door. She took a judicious sip of her cappuccino before stepping across the threshold. She entered a large, windowless room. Across the left wall was a mosaic of LED flat-panel screens, but instead of showing feeds of CCTV cameras in airports and street corners in cities around the world, or images of desert encampments relayed from various drones, these screens contained images from computer terminals, hard drive data folders, dynamic malware firewalls. The images kept changing, often so fast they became a blur. Most of the writing on the screens was in Russian Cyrillic or Mandarin Chinese, but there was one in Persian, others in Hebrew and Arabic.